All right, it's 2 days to the governorship election in Ondo State, and security before, during and after the poll is paramount on the agenda of all stakeholders. The Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has again warned politicians against actions and utterances that could be inimical to a free, fair and credible election. He also pledged that the full weight of the law will be meted out to police officers and anyone who engages in any electoral fraud, such as violence, vote buying, ballot box snatching, hate speeches, and other practices capable of undermining the peace and stability of the electoral process. Well, TVC News senior correspondent Ayodele Uzubaku is standing by in Akure to bring us updates from there. Ayo, good morning. Thank you for joining us. So much leading up to the election on Saturday, and we see the Inspector General of Police talking tough with regards to issues of security, and he is saying anyone found culpable will face the full wrath of the law.
Yes, Veruca, security is of great concern, and the Inspector General of Police actually at the stakeholders meeting on Tuesday announced that he's going to provide 33,000 policemen. Somebody came to ask me earlier that's all the security we're going to be having on ground here. I said no, the DSS will bring their own. The other paramilitary agencies will come together to bring their own across the 18 local government. This operation will be led by DIG Oyileye, but I'm not alone here. I have Ezewagu from Yaga, Africa. Ezewagu, talking about security, it's an integral part of election. We've not gotten to that stage yet that we can actually go into the ballot, do our thing, drop our ballot and go home. We still have ballot paper stuffing. You still have some act of breakdown of law and order in our election. So that means we need security. How vital is this to the influence of a free, fair and credible election?
Well, Ayo, you remember that in Edo, both of us, we had hyped on the need for coordination among the Interagency Consultative Committee on Election Security. And that committee actually is the platform where the different security agencies cross-fertilize information in terms of how to police elections generally. But you know that the police is the leading agency. So 33,000 for Ondo, and then a lot of other agencies contributing personnel as well. Yes. But Ondo is peculiar because we must appreciate the fact that being a coastal riverine environment, you need to pay, and if history is anything, the Ilaje Saudu conundrum in the previous election, in terms of what they did with electoral officials and materials, we need to play up the marine component of the waterways. Things that will happen there. Yes, of securing the environment. We need to also ensure that the outer security architecture that is covered by the military is strengthened in a way that it can be a deterrent. I really am concerned about the fact that we seem to downplay security in Ondo much more. You know, we paid a lot of attention in Edo State for security. Yes. But this actually is the place where we need to be concerned.
As established by the pre-election analysis.
This is not just pre-election analysis, if history is anything. And the natural fixation of the people in terms of whatever they perceive as their rights. The Ondo people, their perception of their rights and the way they go about it is enough signal for those who police these elections to be very clear in terms of making sure that, the whole, state is combed in a way that that gives confidence to the voter that if they come out and vote, not just that their vote will count, but that they will be protected.
What will now be the impact of the peace pact that was signed between candidates, and some of them solemnly swore after the signing the agreement, they came outside that they are going to talk to their
we will continue to implore the politicians to respect, the oath. That for me is an oath-taking ceremony. The solemnity of it is very important. They need to respect that oath, and the traditional institutions in Ondo needs to play much more frontal role in talking to the politicians. You
subjects.
knew what the influence of His Royal Majesty, the Oba of Benin, they much more than what the Peace Committee did. The dowsing was much more that direct consequence of the intervention of the Oba of Benin. So I expect the Deji, the Olubu of these very influential traditional rulers to be a bit more, forthcoming in persuading, citizens to ensure that, and the politicians and their candidates.
But sometimes they will say the presence of these heavy security people, that the presence will actually affect the psyche of the would-be voter, that sometimes it leads to voter apathy.
No, that's a narrative. That's the narrative of those who want to cause trouble. The presence, it has two-pronged effect. Yes, it's like hunger. It can demoralize you. It can also radicalize you. But the big thing is that, if you see that the place is protected, if you see that it is well secured, because it is going to be, the challenge will be if you don't provide sufficient security. The same people will say because there is no sufficient security, they are not able to come out. So you are in a very dicey situation. So we want much more security presence, professional, impartial, and conduct themselves in a way that gives confidence. There is civil policing. Even the military can give civil policing. So that inspires confidence in the voter and makes them do what they have to do.
It's 2 days to the election. What is the level of preparedness by INEC?
Yes, Veronica, today is the deadline for campaigns to end. By the time it's 12 midnight today, it's expected that all the political parties, they will stop campaigning, and the ball will now be fully in the court of the Independent National Electoral Commission to do the big thing on Saturday. That's the conduct of the election. As I'm talking to you now, at the Central Bank of Nigeria, Akure now, the sensitive materials this morning will be distributed across, will be distributed to the Independent National Electoral Commission. We're going to have observers there. We're going to have people, security people there to actually verify what they'll be bringing in. And I still have Ezewagu here with me. Ezewagu will be expecting the results from EC8A, EC8B, and the EC8 series, expected from the CBN this morning. Now, how does it go after the distribution?
Well, I think that to show up the integrity of the process, the INEC has gotten civil society, the media, and the political parties to also observe the distribution of these materials. But I must say that it has something to do with the integrity and trust deficits in our country, that we still, at this material time, will be storing materials, electoral materials, at the Central Bank of Nigeria. I think there is something that is not sitting well on that, and as reform advocates, we must continue to show up this confidence level where these materials can be distributed without all this drama.
Without being waylaid.
Yes, without being waylaid and all of it. We must think through a process that helps us to do that without necessarily getting TVC, everybody to go to Central Bank and see how materials are distributed.
Because it's no big deal. It's just a distraction.
Absolutely, it doesn't tell well of us as a people. Going forward, we must begin to think in terms of what we need to do to be able to deal with that challenge. So from there, it goes to the local government, the different local government INEC
18 of them now.
Yes, 18 of them, and then later on they set up the rack centers where the officials who will be conducting these elections will stay. Then from there, vehicles will then begin to dispatch to the different polling units in the morning. And that resists, I think that plain land, we celebrated plain land in Edo State. Yes, 7 local governments are partially riverine in Edo, but logistics may also become an issue in Ondo because of what we had raised earlier. So INEC must not rest in terms of, I see that, yes, we are basking in the halls of how Edo went. The punctuality index for logistics was very good, but in Ondo it may pose a different challenge, and I think that we must begin to think ahead to ensure that here we are able to get materials to the polling unit at 8:30, and then set up. You remember in Edo, you made that point. You were making,
yes,
you were making that point, yes, that if in the city center we couldn't get centers to open up at 8:30, then it should be a huge challenge.
Let's talk about CPAC.
Yeah, so this CPAC is a platform for retention and the transparency of results from the polling units. So it's an innovation that was tested in the Nasarawa by-election, and INEC has continued to bring that. And it tells something about the greatness of the current commission in terms of wanting to continue to improve on the integrity of elections. And that means that apart from the people's result sheet, which is the form E60, which is supposed to be pasted
on the wall,
or in the wall, which is
the polling units.
So we have a better returns and result management by INEC in a way that, as at the time the INEC chairman was speaking to us at the stakeholders meeting, it was said that about 52,000 people had already, are already on that platform. So meaning that more and more people will access results on the go. But much more than that is the capacity to retain those results. So
it reduces the prospect of the result changing from the polling unit to the ward unit.
Absolutely. And this
from the polling unit, it would have been uploaded.
Yes, and you see, it says something about the laziness of the political parties. Ordinarily, this kind of thing they can deploy. The only thing they have to do is to wait until INEC announces the results. But once it is announced in a polling unit, you should be able to transmit to your own platform. And you saw that in Osun State when results there were centers.
There was a billboard at Okefia that was showing
different results, and people were excited. Everybody was happy. So once INEC, the law says no other body can announce results until INEC do so. But once INEC does so, there is nothing stopping a political party that has polling party agents in all the polling units to share the same platform. So INEC is taking the lead in terms of transparency right now.
All right, so thank you so much, Mr. Ezewago from Yiaga, Africa. And Veronica, we're not done here. I have Sarah Ayeku, my colleague, and she's somewhere in Akure. She's going to show you the show of force by the Nigerian Armed Forces and some other security agencies that want to send signals to people that might want to foster, that might want to break law and order come Saturday, Veronica.
All right, thank you, Ayo. Let's quickly head to Sarah. Well, it's 2 days to the governorship election, Sarah, and thousands of security officials are expected to embark on a massive show of force on the streets of Akure ahead of the poll. Talk to us about this, Sarah.
Of course, we've been here since 7 a.m. to see what will happen. And then, so what you see behind me is security officials from the Army, the NCDC, the FRSC, the Immigration Agency. And so a lot of them we're still expecting some of their security officers to be here at the Gani Fawehinmi Arcade here in Akure, the Ondo State capital. And so you know that the police have said that they're going to be deploying more than 33,000 police officers to this for this election, and of course in conjunction with other sister agencies to ensure that there is no violence come Saturday. So if you look at what we've seen in the precedents, the history dating back to 1979, 2007, 2011, 2015, Ondo State has had its own fair share of electoral violence. And so this show of force, of course, is to alert residents in Akure and in other parts of Ondo State that the security officers are battle ready to go head on against anybody that wants to cause any kind of mayhem on Saturday. Veronica.
Sarah, the word battle ready, don't you think that could send signals and perhaps scare some of the electorate from coming out to vote on the election day? That is a concern some Nigerians are having with regards to this show of force.
Of course, that's a concern. Let me relate a story with you. I spoke with one elderly woman last night, and she told me categorically, she stays in Okitipupa local government area. She told me that it would be difficult for her to come out because seeing the number of security officers going around the area and, of course, telling people that they are ready, they are, of course, out to keep people safe. But it's a dire situation, kind of dicey for the residents and also for the security officers. They are here to, of course, tell people that they want to forestall or stop any kind of mayhem, but then the people on the other hand are kind of scared and skeptical to come out. Some persons will think that it's a propaganda, but if you talk to some residents, especially the elderly, when they see the number of security officers that are in their state, you know, something they've not seen for about 4 years now, even if they had seen it in the last election in 2019, they didn't see this kind of, this number of security officers during the 2019 election. So for some of them, it's a bit scary, but then the security officers just want to tell people to come out and vote. They don't have to be scared. They don't have to be scared to cast their ballot or to make their voices heard. They just have to come out on Saturday to make their voices heard, and which is why they are doing the show of force.
All right, Sarah, we must thank you for bringing us details from Akure. We'll definitely keep tabs on developments there.